So to go ahead and insert this SmartArt graphic, I can do it one of two ways. One, if you have the content box like I do here, you can go ahead and hover over the green that green icon, see the pop-up Insert SmartArt Graphic, click on it, opens it up, the SmartArt Graphic window, or click Cancel. If you don't have a content box, you can come up here and click on the Insert tab, go to the Illustrations group and click on SmartArt. Brings up the same window, right? Let me click Cancel because I'm going to do it from the content box. Let me click on that, okay? It's divided into three sections. The window is divided into three sections. You've got the left section, which in the left section you have a list of all the categories. By default, all is selected. So over in the middle section, you have everything, all the graphics here. You can go ahead and hover over one to get the name of it, select it. When you select it over here, it gives you the details of that graphic. In fact, let's go to another category. Not showing all of them, but the list, the processes, or let's go to the hierarchy, because over here, there it is, Organization Chart. Let me go ahead and select it, and over here in the details section I can read more about it. It says it's used to show hierarchical information, or reporting relationships in an organization, which makes sense because in the hierarchy of it, whoever's on top is going to be the president, and then everybody else down below. Like, when it comes down and to the side, they're assistants to whoever's above them, okay? Instead of just being directly below there to the side, it would be the assistant to the president. You could have two assistants or as many as you'd like. Then you'd have maybe below them VPs and then their assistants or other employees below them in the organization chart down on the scale of importance or leadership within the organization. Okay, let's go ahead and click OK. There we go. It adds the organization chart, and then over to the side it has the text pane. So when it comes to adding text, or who's in the top shape here, or text box, you can either click in here where it says text and start typing, or come over here, you can see where the cursor's flashing, and type it there. Either way, it's both organized in a hierarchical structure because, well, the top shape, whoever's on top, the head honcho, then everybody below. Over here in the text pane, you have the bullet on top, whoever's on top, the big head honcho. In fact, it's outdented. So not only is it on top, but it's outdented, and everybody else is indented, just like a nice little outline. They're the supporting points to the person who's up at the top and outdented, and then if we had assistants or supports to these bullets here, they'd be below them and maybe even indented here, which we'll go over in just a second, okay? In any case, let's do something simple. Let's come over here, click in the top shape, and add my name. Wow, that's large text. If I keep on typing, what's going to happen? Well, by default, it's going to do an autofit. It'll shrink the text to fit the shapes. It'll shrink the text to fit the shape. Not only just this shape, but notice how all the other text and the other shapes shrunk down too. So if you had somebody with a huge name, all the other text boxes are going to suffer, okay? Because they'll shrink to fit that. In any case, let's go ahead and hit enter because I want to add the title below my name. And that's it. It's that simple. You can see over here in the text pane, whatever I did over here updates it over here. Whatever I type in here will update it over in the shapes. For example, let's go ahead and click in the outline here to the next point below the president, me, and notice when I select it over here in the chart, it's got that shape selected, so I know which one I'm working on. And then go ahead and type in the name of my assistant, and that's it. Now, if I want to go ahead and add a title below her name, you don't want to hit the enter key because if you do, it'll add the same shape, and put it over to the side because there's space over there, which, hey, by default now you know how to add a shape. There's an easier way. There are other ways to add shapes, but that's one way. In any case, let me hit undo. And to add the title to Susie Blot, hold down the Shift key before you hit the Enter key. So Shift Enter. It'll keep it within the same point here or in the same shape, but below the text. And then you can go ahead and type in. There we go. Admin Assistant. Okay, you get the idea, right? So I can come down here and add all the rest of the names for, let's make them all VPs. I'll quickly type it in here. And there you go. What I do in one updates the text pane, and if I did it in the text pane, it would update those corresponding shapes tied to those bulleted points. A couple of things before I go any further is that notice that the chart is about yay big. If you want to make it bigger, then hover over one of the corner handles till you can see arrows pointing in opposite directions, then click and drag. Can't make it too much bigger than that because then it'll be off the slide and we won't be able to see that portion of it in the presentation. You can also hover over the border of the chart till you get a four-way arrow, and then click and drag to move it, as we learned in an earlier training video, to move shapes, pictures, text boxes, objects, images. Just hover over the border, click and drag, or use the arrow keys. And if you prefer working in the chart, you don't want to see the text pane up, you can close out of it. And then if you're like, oops, I want to go ahead and bring it up because I want to work in it now, then with the chart selected, you can come up here to its related contextual design and format tabs, so you can design the chart. So you can go ahead and design the organization chart or format it. Of course, if you click outside of it, those related tabs disappear because, well, PowerPoint doesn't think you're working on it until you actually go ahead and click in it to select the chart. Then come up here. Let's come up here on the Design tab and go to the Create Graphic group, because here, let's start in the upper left-hand corner and go over all of these here. Is if you want to add another shape, like let's say that we want to go ahead and add another assistant to the president here. Click within the shape there, and then come up here and click on the Add Shape drop-down arrow, and then I can come down here and say Add Assistant, adds it over to the right. Go ahead and type in the name, okay? In fact, we can go ahead and add other shapes. Let's do it for Patricia. Let's go ahead and do it for Patricia. Select her shape, come back up here, click on the Add Shape drop-down arrow. Now, notice the different options you get. You can add a shape after, before, above, or below. If you add it after, it comes to the right. If you add it before, it comes to the left. If you add it above, well, of course, it'll be above, below, and below. Okay, so let's go ahead and add it before. So we got a shape that comes to the left-hand side of Patricia. So maybe another VP. And then think about it this way. We have all these VPs. Maybe we can have the organization set up in our minds that the youngest VP is to the left, or whoever's been VP the longest is to the left, and then goes to the right to the youngest here. So when it comes to moving up and being president next, if we're going by age, or if we're going by who's been VP the longest, then it would be John Buggle. Okay, let's go ahead and select Patricia again, or click inside the text box. Let me come up here and add some more shapes so we can see what it looks like when I add one below. And then let's go ahead and click on it again, add another one below that. Then if I go ahead and click on Add Shape and add it below again, it's not going to add it below Patricia, but whatever shape I have selected, so I want to be aware of that. Let me come back up here, click inside Patricia, click on Add Below again. Click on Add, let's see, Below again. There we go. And notice how instead of being directly below, it's hanging down and to the right. So I wonder what an assistant would look like if we come back up here and click on Add Shape and go to Assistant. And click off. There we go. So directly assisting the VP is going to be added below and to the left, and the others will be below and to the right. Now if I don't like the way that's laid out, and I want it more like this, where it's top to bottom, not to the sides here, go ahead and select the shape or click inside of it. Then come back up here to the Design, to the Create Graphic group, and there's the layout. Click on the drop-down arrow. Do you want it standard? Go ahead and click on it, and then now it's standard. Just like we see up above with the president here, we have him and then assistants down below to the side. So Patricia down, and the assistant is to the side, and everybody else is directly below the assistant on that relationship line. And then notice when I add more shapes, the size of the area here within the SmartArt chart here is shrinking up. So I can try to stretch it out to make it a little bit bigger, but I don't have a whole lot of room here. So if necessary, create one on this slide if you have a huge organization, you may want to add additional slides and say, okay, now on slide 2, we're continuing down the org chart here. Which brings up a good point. This is a simple organization chart for PowerPoint, basic organizations. If you have something that's more complex and you want to add a bunch of text, like on the lines here, which you can actually do, but not in PowerPoint, you can do it in Microsoft software program. You can do it in Microsoft's Visio program, which is an organization chart with attitude. You can do so much more. This is just basically a simple outline for the organization. Nothing too complex, okay? Which brings up a good point. If you want to do something a little bit more complex and work with more options and features to your organization chart, PowerPoint has it very simple. It's nothing complex. If you want something a little bit more complex, like where you can actually add text within the relationship lines here about the relationships between, well, one shape and another, go ahead and use Microsoft's Visio. That's SmartArt with attitude. In any case, let's keep it focused here. To remove a shape, all you have to do is go ahead and click on it to select it. But if you're inside it, you want to come on the outside until you see you want to hover over the border of it until you see a 4-way arrow. Then go ahead and click on it to select it. That way the shape is selected, so you can hit the delete key on the keyboard and it gets rid of it, okay? Let me go ahead and hit undo.